Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Pitch Us. Super excited to have Karin Frame with us today. She's going to be presenting Mkeena. My name is Tim Cooley. I am the author of the Pitch Deck book. I really love helping people present. So if you're out there looking to raise capital, please come on the show. It's free. I just really enjoy doing this. So Karin, please go ahead and share your screen and then pitch us.
Wonderful. So, hi, I'm Karin Frame, CEO and founder of Mkeena, where we connect shoppers with healthy and sustainable brands. I'm super passionate about the space because I grew up in a lake across the street from a cornfield that was sprayed with pesticides every year, and everyone got sick. I know firsthand the importance of what we put in and on our bodies, and I'm not alone. I'm just one of 198 million people in the US alone looking for better solutions with better brands that are doing it right. By the way, Mkeena means abundance in Hawaiian. This is the second time I've been a founder in this space. As a consequence, I have a lot of friends who have built natural products brands. And because of that, I know that the brand owners have a real problem. At first, consumers are super engaged with them because they have a one-to-one connection. For example, they get to know the brand at farmers markets or because they've purchased the products off of a website. But once the brand gets bigger, the brand becomes at least 3 steps removed from its consumer. As the brand grows and makes it into larger retailers like Amazon and Walmart, it gets lost on the shelf, frustrating the once loyal consumer, negatively impacting sales and eventually causing that brand to go out of business. To try and address this, brands end up spending millions of dollars on social media to get discovered and even more money on data with companies like Nielsen and Numerator so they can better understand who their shoppers are, where they're shopping, and what's in their basket. Turn more product and stay in business. We solve these problems. For the consumer, it's through our mobile app where they get incentivized to buy products that meet their dietary needs or lifestyle preferences. And for the brand, it's through our proprietary engagement and data insights dashboards. Once the consumer downloads Mkeena, they can discover and engage with brands, purchase products anywhere, even online. And when they have the product in hand after they go shopping, all they have to do is scan the barcode, take a photo of the receipt, and submit it through the app. And the consumer earns cash and rewards for buying better. And we know this works. One of the receipt apps that we're friendly with processes over 11 million receipts per day, capturing 125 billion in retail sales. For the brands, it only takes a few days to launch. Through our platform, we collect first-party engagement and receipt data and provide it to the brand, so it's easy for the brand to create loyal consumers 65% of the time. The natural products industry is growing at 10% year over year, and brands in this space spend over $60 billion on marketing, with a good portion of that on promotions and digital. And according to Deloitte, CMOs plan to spend 200% more on data over the next 3 years. Sorry, I cannot see all of this. I'm kind of a little bit screwing up here.
You're okay.
Yeah, just I can't see the there we go. Sorry about that.
You're good.
There you go. I made one of the mistakes in your pitch book. Mkeena is generating early revenue from brands like Conagra and growing. Our customers love us. We're sticky. We have about 120,000 app users with a 42% retention rate after 30 days, which is at or better than the top shopping apps out there. we've secured and continue to secure a number of strategic partnerships. We've generated over 100,000 in revenue in 2022. In 2023, we anticipate we're going to generate over 200,000 in revenue because of at least one new strategic significant partnership, Spins, the largest data aggregator in the natural product space. That agreement has been signed and is valued at $25 million over the next few years. And there are a lot of other opportunities for us on the horizon. The Spins partnership is huge. We've signed the first SOW and are the exclusive cash and rewards app for Spins brands. And there are 3,200 of them. They're also taking us to their over 40,000 retailers as its loyalty platform of choice. The significance of this is just huge. We'll be at the cash register and also on the shelf in front of the consumer, which exposes us to millions of shoppers. Currently, we license our software as a service to brands, charging launch and monthly subscription fees. However, as I mentioned, the real value of Mkeena is in the data we collect. As I mentioned, we generated over 100,000 in revenue in 2022, and in 2023, implementing our one-to-many strategy with our new partners like Spins, we estimate to double that revenue. And next year, we estimate over $3 million in revenue. In 5 years, we project Mkeena to be a billion-dollar company because we are going to be licensing the granular shopper marketing data we're generating from all of our engagements. I'm a former GC and CPA, and I've worked in data. I've known Rick for almost 20 years. Jonathan is a multiple founder with multiple exits, and Laura was early in the loyalty reward space. Together, our leadership team has over 100 years of experience in data, software as a service, mobile, loyalty, retail, and CPG. While it looks like we're in a crowded space, even with little investment, we've been able to build a very different technology than our competition. And Spins obviously recognizes that. In addition, Unilever, Organic Valley, and Natural Grocers all acknowledge that Mkeena is uniquely positioned to help brands engage directly with shoppers on a one-to-one and also on a one-to-many basis. Our seed raise allows us to get to $30 million in revenue. $625,000 has taken us to this point. Now we're ready to scale. We're using the funds for tech, to service our brand and retail customers, and to grow and engage our shopper base, acquiring another 1.8 million sticky users. We're looking for an investor on our priced round and have VCs and family offices who are interested in following. We're also looking for a fractional growth hacker and are open to the lead investor taking a board seat. While we're focused on building a great company, we've already had a number of companies reach out to us about buying us. And we have several investors who have invested in companies like Honey, like Mucker and Anthos, interested in our later rounds. This is a space where there's a lot of M&A activity. 37 plus companies in just the loyalty space alone have generated over 15 billion in transactions. So let's take your investment and turn it into a 10x. Join us as we create abundance together and grow Mkeena into a billion-dollar healthy household name.
Thank you. Good? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So, yeah, a little
Awesome.
funky with this, taking care of the slides through your system, but
it's okay.
Hey, it's all good.
Cool. So for people who are watching, this is one of those things, right? Technology is a reality. We pitch virtually if you've ever raised funds. And so getting used to technologies and different technologies is just part of the game. I will say that in today's world, a lot of people are actually really friendly with error. It's not a big deal. I think the key is how you handle it. When things don't go well, it actually shows a lot of who you are. And so even in this format, we were trying something new. So thanks for doing that. And so, yeah, you did a great job of presenting. I want to kind of name a couple things that I really liked about just the presentation as a whole. And again, I've known you for a long time. I've seen this company develop for a couple years. So it's great to see where you're at from where you were. So great job there. Visually, it's all on brand. And I'll say, if you ever read the book, you don't really need to be super polished like this. But when you're pitching a company that's very brand centric, it is very important to make sure that the deck represents the brand itself. But this looks good. No one has to be this good, but it does align with the story you're saying. So that's a great job. Your team is very impressive. The logos that you guys carry there. Anybody could dive into that and these people and say, like, you have a really solid team, especially those core functionalities that early stage investors are looking for. So great job. I actually really love the beginning as well, like your story matching the solution that you're going with, or what brought you down this path initially. So great job with that. And so I would love to now switch to like areas of opportunity, if you're cool with that.
Totally.
Okay. So the first one I'm going to start with is I think everybody should end with their ask slide. And again, everyone has different opinions on this, but like we've been chatting for 3 minutes now, and notice like there's your ask slides like 3 slides ago, right? We could have put all your contact information, the QR code. If I'm an investor looking at this, I'm going to start thinking deeply about what I just heard. And this just starts to prompt questions, right? Like, why 3 million? Why, you know what I'm saying? So all those things. What did you accomplish with the 625? So this just leads me to questions. So that's why I say leave it here. You'll get different feedback on whether or not you need the exit slides. So I appreciate you having them here. I would say if you're going towards that lead funder, they're probably not going to want those, but have them that you can pull up on like in an appendix. But angels typically like to see that kind of stuff. So you decide whether you want to present them or not. I will just say it kind of goes both directions depending on who you're presenting to. Let's get into the product itself. I didn't realize it was like kind of in the loyalty space until like you said it. It was about halfway into the presentation itself. I think that would have made more sense coming a little earlier, because I didn't clearly get the problem to the solution until you started saying this loyalty word. And I think it came like even either in the middle of this slide or like maybe the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to the very first problem statement slide, I can control it too. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I really loved how you set this up, right? One thing, if you want to continue to use this, I would actually write one-to-one relationship over time, like maybe like a little, there's a lot on this slide, but I think it's missing these words. I think it's missing this 3 steps whenever the company gets bigger. And so what I didn't hear is how you're bringing it back to the one-on-one. That's what I was waiting for, because that's the problem for the consumer. And then you mentioned you went right into this other problem with data and things like that. And I didn't feel like it brought me back in, right? This slide did not do like it did. I don't think it did what you wanted it to do.
Okay.
Right. And so go to your next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So closing the gap. Yeah. Okay. So there's like not enough here meat that says closing the gap of what, right?
Yeah.
Are you closing that gap of bringing it back to one-on-one? Am I closing the gap on like what's currently missing in loyalty programs as it relates to data. That's the real problem that you're solving, right? That's my assumption, right? You said the words, but they didn't align with the visuals completely. Does that make sense? So really what you're saying is, here's the problem with current loyalty programs. They still stay way far away from the one-on-one aspect. We bring that back. Here's how we do that. And here's the problem with these brands as they relate to loyalty programs. And here's how we fix both of those. I think that's what you were trying to say.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So, I think bringing that loyalty, the problem with current loyalty would have helped me get there sooner. And it is a very crowded space, right? Toast and all these places have different things. But I think that if you did this part a little bit cleaner, we could say like, oh, I see. It's just not a afterthought. This is actually very more intentional. There's more to it than just, we send you a text once in a while.
Would it make sense if I showed, let me see if I even have it. So I'd have to flip forward. If you want to flip to maybe slide 20, 24, 25, 26, and 27 are actually the back end of the platform.
Okay.
Where the brands can talk directly with the consumer. So these.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'll answer that question by showing you.
Okay.
Something. Okay. So let's take a look at these. You're saying your value propositions are to the ecosystem. This is how I would have competed. Like there's no direct engagement with customers, right? Again, bringing it back to the one-on-one. Like it's like you can go and talk to the founder again. Again, I don't know what that looks like, but eco-friendly focus. That's great. This is another area that's completely yours according to your chart. Is this customized brand loyalty program? I would get a little bit more specific on what that means. Unless you showed it to me earlier, then it's more of a reminder. And then again, same thing with this proprietary backend platform. Everybody has whatever this is. So bringing it into something that means something more tangible. Like they can't use red buttons. We can. Like that's very specific, right?
Or they all use the same backend technology, and we built our own.
Sure, but still, like make that more into something like whatever it actually means.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of how I would look at these as like, these are your actual problem to solution statements. These are the solutions. And then none of these other people have all of the solutions that you created.
What about things like, and I know this is being recorded, but Ibotta just announced that they're starting their IPO process at a $2 billion valuation.
Yeah.
Where does that go in this pitch?
I don't think it's relevant, because then they would say like, well, why would I invest in you if your most closest competitor just raised is about to raise $2 billion, right? What you're saying is, even with that investment, they still can't compete with us because we're going this way, they're going that way, and there's a huge market for us anyway. So they could have $100 billion and they're still not going to compete with us, right? They can't do these 5 things, even if they wanted to. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. So perfect. So I would almost remove how much they've raised from here, because it just asks. It puts more questions than answers.
Okay.
If you really like it, you can leave it. I just don't think it adds any value. This is a conversation literally for like a due diligence, like a follow-up.
Okay. Yeah, I've just had people ask, and I'm like, okay,
it's a great appendix.
Right. We've been super scrappy. We've been very bootstrappy, a lot of tenaciousness, grit, and we've built all of this on 625,000.
That's a very good data point in your traction, right? Like And I think it'll help you. I think there's something else that's core that's missing here is your team is great. My opinion is to go in this order: product, solution, numbers. And the reason I say that is if I were to sell you a new pair of shoes, the first question you ask is how much does it cost? It's just a natural thing. All of us want to know the price. So this is a great slide, but it's coming after your traction, right? And so I think it's better to say, here's what we do, here's how we make money. This is what it looks like over the next 5 years. Like, we're already here. We're doing great. We got this great, like, we did this on on a little over $500,000 raised, and we're already primed for next year to hit 3 million. One thing that I think can help in this slide is you have this little SAS and data chart over here, is to repeat those colors in these bar charts. Does that make sense? So, because what you're going to want to show, you can show the green gets bigger over time, and then the SAS stays pretty consistent. Like, if you looked at it from it's a stacked bar chart is really what it is. So you can get rid of
the orange, you want the pink and the green in there?
Yeah, okay. It's just easier to read.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Great. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're recording this.
Yeah, it's good. Again, like I said, get into numbers, because what you'll say is like, look, it's $10,000 to get started, $500 a month, whatever. And then, but this is really where we make our money. Let me show you what that actually looks like over the next 5 years. And they can watch the subscriptions are going to stay relatively small. And then you can see this big green thing start to get bigger over time. And it's like, oh, I understand. The other thing that you can do to make this chart better, even just that much better, is you could put like a little, like, see how you have these plus 87, plus 25? I think you could give yourself more room and then show me kind of KPIs wise. It's like, we've got 100 brands, 300 brands, 9,000 brands. Like, and now I'm like, now I can put this chart and the KPIs together as an investor and be like, oh, that makes sense, or I'm like, you're crazy, go either way.
Yeah, we do have a chart, which I don't think is on this deck, with all of that information with both consumers, meaning users of the app, as well as brands. But it seemed like it was super crowded to put it onto the revenue slide as well, but maybe there's a way to do it.
Yeah. Just, for example, like you can move this whole chart up and put your revenue inside this little box, and then it gives you a whole extra, you're using up a lot of space for visual elements. That's it.
Okay.
And if you cut out those like little squares, let's say like 44% over 56, like that's a whole extra like 1.5 inches on top, of that last bar chart. And so you can get that space back as well.
Right.
Anyways, try it out. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. There was something with the market slide. Okay. So this slide here. Think about this as a bottom-up approach. If you were to start, that's how I would like this presented, versus like market trends. Tie it back to revenue. So it's like, look, if we start doing this thing and we get the entire market, here's what that looks like. And then, but we're hyper focused on these B Corp type things. And if we get all of those people, it's, a quadrillion-dollar business. I don't know what the numbers are, but
yeah. Okay.
And you're like, and it's growing, right? You can throw the growth numbers. I like that, but I think root your business model within the industry, and it'll give us a better picture of the market as a whole.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So I love your traction slides. I think this is incredible. Couple things that I would do here. I would pull these 2 slides out. So I would keep these like kind of data point slides on one slide. I would say here, oh, hold on. I would say, here's all the brands that we're working. Like, look at us, we're growing. Here's some of the data that we've hit. Then I would say, here's a bunch of the logos. And let me tell you about the most exciting one, which is the spin. You see, that would carry me through story-wise. And everyone's like, oh, shoot, you guys are doing it. You know, that's awesome. And then you're like, look, we've already got like 3 other big people like this in the pipeline, or whatever your story is, you know.
Which we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's carrying me through, right? Like, look, our numbers look good. A lot of people like us, and we just locked in this huge thing. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So see, now it's exciting. And then they're like, oh, sweet. You've done some for 625. That's amazing. Right. You can even add that 625 to this slide. Like, we've raised 625. Here's how that is, you know, played out.
Yeah.
Then you're like, and then now look at our team. This is why we've executed. We have a stellar team. And I would mention on this slide that you're looking for like a VP of growth or whatever that role is. And like that. So we got a great team. You know, the money right now we're raising, it's going to go to this new addition who we already have in mind, even if you don't.
We do.
Sure you do. Yep. Yeah. So you already have in mind. We just need this next tranche of funding. This goes back with your marketing slides. Keep it all that together.
Okay.
And then go into this ask. And I think that would wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have all the pieces here. I think just moving them around gives you a better story. And then visually we can fix a few things. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Yeah. I've wanted to do this with you for a while now.
Well, I'm so glad we got to do it. Any questions for me before we wrap it up?
Oh my gosh. I think you already mentioned about the exit slides. I've always wondered whether to put that in or take it out, but it makes sense to leave it in for angel investors, take it out for VCs.
Yeah.
If they want to ask questions, they can ask questions. I think I've scratched my head several times about going deeper into what we've really built, which are those extra slides. I know it's, you know, horrible presentation to try to do a live presentation. The live stuff can be done in diligence or one-on-one with the investor later. But I've always kind of wondered, because on the surface, it looks like just an app, right?
Yeah.
But we built something very comprehensive for a brand to communicate with the consumer, and the consumer to communicate with the brand and to engage with the brand on a regular basis. So I've always kind of wondered about
that. Then, if that's really what's the differentiation, right? Here's what's wrong with loyalty programs. They can't do this thing. I'm going to show you that they can now. And like, not only can they do that, but like the information that we gather is why not only the brands want to do it, but the customers stay engaged, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. Much better story. Thank you. I've always wondered about whether or not I should put my personal story in there. And then I've played with it, you know, as you can see later on, I had a slide, which used to be at the very front where I could tell the story, but I felt like it wasted too much time, because if you really only have 5 to 7 minutes for the real pitch, then, you know, forget it.
Yeah. So I know the last time we spoke, you were going into a competition. In a true pitch, you have about 10 to 12 minutes. So I would spend more time communicating the problem and the solution in a really clear way. And I think the amount of time you spent on it in this was actually appropriate. You could spend a little bit more time, but then it gets just wordy.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add that much value, other than you're like, look, I did a program, I sold it for this much money, or whatever the story is. And then whatever, like you could add that kind of a detail. Again, all you're trying to prove is that you're a good entrepreneur worth betting on.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I always forget whether or not I ever say that I'm a repeat founder.
You said it, but you didn't like put like a logo or anything in here.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
So you can try it.
I could. I think I have it on the traction slide that I say I'm a repeat founder, but I didn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I built something very similar to Zillow long before Zillow. And I
Okay.
also built something very similar to Mkeena long before Mkeena, which is now Mkeena, right?
Okay. Yeah. 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 If you had a successful exit, I think it's worth mentioning.
Well, we didn't have to shut down. So, but it wasn't super lucrative. We'll just
Hey,
leave it at
well,
that.
exit's an exit.
Well, yeah, we didn't go out of
Sometimes.
business. We just had to shut it down.
I
So
see. No, it happens.
it was all
So,
good.
anyways, if it's a good story, I mean, I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think the story is a really good story when I'm one-on-one with an investor. I don't think really in a pitch because they may ask about it, right? You
They
know,
usually
we
don't. They usually don't. I haven't seen
oh,
that very often.
okay,
But
okay,
it's just a data point. So if it's a good positive data point, then use it. If it's not, you're like, hey, look, this is my third venture, and from those other ones, here's the things that I've learned in this space, right? Then it's like,
mhm,
oh, I see. Okay, I don't know what your other ones were. We can talk about that later.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
mean, one of them was directly in the industry. We had a
cool.
nationwide contract with Wild Oats, which is now Amazon, right? Wild
Yeah,
Oats and then Whole Foods, then Amazon. So I have
yeah,
experience in the space
yeah.
doing kind of what we're doing, creating the first loyalty program for what is now Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, test it out on like a 1 million cups or something like that, like on a venue where you're not going to lose anybody.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to like test that concept. It's an experiment. Every pitch is an experiment. You learn, you know, and it sucks that it's that way, but eventually you get to the point where people are like, "Oh, that's cool. All right, I get it."
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been
Yeah,
great.
thanks so much for being here. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you're out there looking for help, please apply. It's pitchus.io. It's free. I love doing this. Also, check out the book. This looks very similar to the decks that I give as a template. So thank you for doing that. It's awesome. And again, we'll see you all next time.